Well, happy Thanksgiving to all of you shooters and reloaders out there, and especially to all of you Three Circles passengers and members. It's Fortune Cookie 45 LLC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone Express. And it's the day before Thanksgiving, and we're having a pre-Thanksgiving dinner here. And guess what? Rack of lamb from Costco. So Juan, you got some lemons here. You're getting ready to do that kind of like brining and...
I'm not. Initially I was going to do a brine, but you need time to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make a, not quite a rub, but more of a glaze. But this glaze is not going to be with honey. The glaze is going to be with oil. It's actually going to be with sesame oil.
Okay.
So a glaze basically is just a thick sauce that you layer on top of your meat. And that's what we're going to do. Use lemons. We're going to use salt, pepper, and sesame oil. Got lemon there. We're going to go ahead and squeeze that in. So if you just want the meat flavor, you would just add a little bit of salt, maybe a little bit of a pepper. But in this case, we're adding a little acid. We're adding, of course, sodium, and we're adding a little slightly more acid with the pepper as well. And along with that, we're going to add some sesame oil. That combination, which we want it to be thick, is going to be our glaze. So normally if you do a glaze, you use something really very thick thickener like honey. I don't like really sweet, so instead I'm going to make a thick sauce that I'm going to layer on the meat to season it a certain way. As you can see, there's a fair amount of pepper there. Most of this, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of salt. Most of this is going to fall off. You can measure.
Sesame oil.
Sesame. Open! Sesame.
Shades of Aladdin.
Gotta rob my genie. It says a genie in a bottle. So that's not going to be enough sesame there because we have much more lemon. And I thought it was going to take 2 lemons. We have 3 crowns, so this is good. This should be enough. But I'm going to need a little more sesame oil there.
Every time I hear the word genie, I always think about Barbara Eden and I Dream of Jeannie.
Ah. Well,
Before your time, Juan.
Oh, no. I remember I Dream of Jeannie. It was a beautiful, beautiful show. I used to watch, growing up, I used to watch I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched.
Oh, yeah. Elizabeth Montgomery.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 fun shows. Another one I really enjoyed was I Love Lucy.
Classics.
Yeah. Awesome.
Here comes more. There's a little protective seal in there.
No, this is a pour hit.
You know, that's the same kind of pour thing that used to be in the powder cans.
Ah.
Yeah, you would pull the thing out from the center, and then you pour your powder.
Ah, that's an explosive statement right there.
Oh, yeah.
So in order for this to work, we want to make sure that our lamb, or whatever meat you choose to use, is fairly dry.
That doesn't seem to be very thick there, Juan, so did you want that thicker?
If I wanted to make it thicker, I could add some honey, but in all honesty, I don't want it that thick. But as we do this, see, we're trying to make it thick here. We're not trying to... Lamb tends to have a little gamier taste to it. So a lot of people don't like that gaminess of it. But what a lot of people don't really understand is that you can actually kind of clear that up. If you either soak your lamb, rack of lamb, if you soak it in baking soda, you can, and kind of rinse it with some lemon, or you can use vinegar if you choose. I'm allergic to vinegar, so I'm not a vinegar user, but those things can have, can change that gaminess, and then all of a sudden you get a nice, rich, beautiful flavor on the meat itself. So what I did this time is I actually soaked it in some baking soda and water for about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes.
Now, a lot of our viewers are also hunters, and they like to bring home venison, elk, meat of that kind of nature.
Right.
So it's often been said that venison has a gaminess to it also.
It does.
So the people who like deer meat should really like lamb also then.
They should. It's the gaminess is a lot less on lamb than it is on venison. And for any of you who go hunting, send us some. Send us some elk. We'll dip it in some milk. Send us some venison. Send us some wild boar, and we'll make a video of it.
Well, one time my brother-in-law, who happens to work in Alaska, and what he used to do would be to go hunt elk.
Oh, okay.
And one year he sent back a whole slab of elk steaks.
Wow.
For us. And this is when Tricia was living in Oakland.
Uh-huh.
And so we had that meat for dinner one day. And yeah, there was
I can hear your mouth is watering.
there was a little gaminess there, but it was quite good.
Yes. The thing about it is that if you try to get rid of it, you're not going to. So you work with it. So that's why you use the acid of lemon, or you use the acid of vinegar with a little salt. You give it a rub, you let it sit, and because a lot of the gaminess is not actually inside the meat, it's actually on the outside. It's between the meat and the skin. And so if you wash it, you give it a nice wash, you let it sit with a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of lemon, it will kill a good portion of that.
And of course there's sodium bicarbonate.
Right.
Okay, so we're coating all three. Now how long are you going to let this sit?
I'm only going to let this sit about 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
While I'm letting this sit here, because again, that's why I'm using the lemon. If I was doing this a little bit longer, I would not use lemon, because the citric acid will start cooking your meat, and instead of making it tender and delicious, it makes it tough. I'm going to be making some asparagus and mushrooms.
And persimmons for Thanksgiving, how appropriate, along with Michael Jackson and Josh Groban. What a combination, huh? Great. We're making asparagus and mushroom soup.
Cut up onion, we're not going to mince, but we are going to cut it up. So you can see the onion is sprouting. Just because it's sprouting doesn't mean there's anything bad with it. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take all this onion and we're going to throw it in our pan with slightly, not quite medium heat. We're going to say medium low. And throw in some nice olive oil. We need some garlic, so we're going to go ahead and slice up some garlic. Same idea. We don't need it fine, we just need it cut up enough so that it doesn't take too long to cook. Garlic cooks a lot faster than onions, so you don't want to throw them in at the same time. See how the glaze is working?
It is.
Changing the color a little bit.
Coalescing right on there.
Yeah. So it's going to be a rough chop. So I'm just going to go ahead.
Now I know what you're thinking, Pilgrim. Why is he cutting up limes when he's using lemon? Well, the answer of that question is we're making drinks. Some nice libation to go along with the cooking. Okay, what is that?
This is a Smirnoff Ice.
Aha.
It's a lemonade with sparkling water.
And Smirnoff.
And Smirnoff is the vodka.
So here we go. To your good health, Juan.
And yours. Cheers.
Okay. So your onions.
I want them to brown. I don't want them to brown enough for them to caramelize and become super sweet. I want them with just a touch of brown so that they give flavor without becoming sweet. If I was making, let's say, a French onion soup, I would want them to caramelize and sweeten.
Let me tell you, folks, Juan's soups are famous.
Legendary! But we also need to throw in our garlic. Exactly. Smell that?
Yeah, it's delicious.
Smell that wonderful garlic right there. And like I said, garlic is going to cook a lot faster than the onion. So pretty soon you're going to start seeing that garlic start to turn as well. That's what we want.
So, Captain, on Vulcan, we call this stuff quasine tupor.
Okay.
I believe you Earthlings call this asparagus.
It is. You know what we say to Balkans if they mess with our asparagus?
No. No, Captain, what do you call it?
I'm gonna kick your asparagus. That didn't touch, just so you know. Okay. So now,
May you live long and prosper. I say that so you won't kick my asparagus. Time for more of that adult lemonade.
I'm doing this to give the asparagus just a slightly softer flavor. You can see it's starting to turn a little bit, and normally if I was to cook my asparagus, just pan fry it, you can see some of it is already cooked.
That's beautiful quasine tupor.
Quasine tupor.
No, you're trying to sound like a Klingon. No Klingons allowed on Thanksgiving.
I was clinging on to hope. Is that a beautiful color?
That color is beautiful.
Frozen veggies.
More veggies.
These are frozen veggies. You save these up for a nice day like this.
So Juan's getting ready to add another half an onion to the soup.
Onions. I'm gonna go ahead and chop up some garlic. Let's check on the soup. Not quite, but it is coming along.
It is definitely coming apart. And Juan has gone ahead and looks like he's quartered a whole bunch of mushrooms. So 4 more cloves of garlic. And this time we're going to mince them, right? So
yeah,
it's going to be smaller pieces. Arranged. Ah! You're making a federation.
Yes. A fingeration.
That's called interdigitation.
That's right. Intergalactic digitation. How you like that, eh?
Ah!
How you like that?
A work of art.
Beautiful.
Here comes our mushrooms. Look at those. Gorgeous mushrooms. Okay, here goes the meat into the oven. Preheated to 400 degrees. Now we wait 20 minutes and the powder coat will be all done and we'll be able to quench those bullets. How's it look? Wow, look at that.
It's a little thick. I wanted more watery, so I'm adding more water.
A little more water.
Yep. So what I try to go by is...
Are you trying to cover the veggies?
I am. And the rule that my mom always said to me is you push down on the veggies, you want the water to come up to the top of the spoon. So you see how that's not at the top of the spoon?
Yeah.
So I want it to the top of this section.
Okay. So about another gallon.
About, yeah. So now we're gonna go ahead and do basic seasoning. Here's a tip I like to do so that you don't overdo it. I like to put on a thin layer and go across the pot. This is pepper, this is black pepper.
Okay, look at that.
And I like to do the same thing with the salt. Then layer.
All the way across.
I would say it's much better to not have enough salt than to have too much. So that should be enough to give it flavor, not enough to make it salty.
Covering the pot's a good idea because the heat is kept in. That probably works well with our lead casting also. I think that Elmer Keith back in the 30s and 40s did that. He covered his lead pot, but he also piled up asbestos pads on the side of his pot all the way around to keep the heat in. And in those days, asbestos was no danger to people like it is now.
So the reason why I'm doing this now is I want to see how soft the veggies are.
Ooh.
You can see by the color that some are, the asparagus is pretty soft. Ooh, you see
It looks like it's done.
Yeah, you see some of the greenish?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 2 more steps to go. A, we gotta let this cool off. B, we gotta blend it. And actually 3, we're going to actually season it. So it's actually 3 more steps to go. We're gonna go ahead and blend this. And as we blend this, we're also going to use another pot of about approximately the same size. We're gonna do this to expedite. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and get our fire going. As we do that, we're gonna go ahead and repeat steps 1 and 2. So step 1. Again, we want some fat in our soup, so that's step number 1.
Here come the onions.
Step number 2. And again, remember, we don't want our onions
You want to brown
to
it a
caramelize.
little
We want
bit.
it, right, we want to brown, but not caramelize.
And then the garlic's going to be added.
Exactly. Now, while we're doing that, we don't want this fire too hot, because we don't want the onions to burn.
Into the blender it goes.
Into the blender. It's still hot. As you can see, there's still steam coming out. Grinding some of this down. So we want to make sure that we have about equal amounts of water. You can see whole pieces of mushroom. That means we're not where we want to be. But we are seeing the change. Now while this is going on, you want to stir them so they don't get too cooked.
It looks to me like it's just about ready.
Just about.
I think that blender has plenty of horsepower.
Step number 3, we're going to go ahead and add more garlic. So this time, if you notice, the onion and the garlic are more small, more minced, and in some cases chopped, because
this isn't going to be blended.
Exactly.
Oh, beautiful. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Now we add the blended soup.
Big mash. Then in that case,
Whoa, look at that. Gorgeous. Well, I'm getting it now.
we're gonna go ahead and do that.
So Juan just put it on toast mode to give it a little bit of color and character. So this is kind of like searing the outside with the convection oven. Okay, we're getting some nice browning in there caused by the toasting mode. So this old Vitamix actually conked out on us doing this job, so fortunately we have a backup in a little silver bullet. So we're transferring it to the smaller silver bullet, and that's doing a nice job.
Kind of gray.
So here we go with the
Red.
silver bullet.
This is a NutriBullet.
So see, this is the reason why we have backups even in our reloading. We have backup reloading presses, backup reloading dies, backup reloading scales, all of that kind of thing, because it's always good to have a backup in case
I'm sure it's 1200.
the main line gives up on us. Oh, you're right, Juan, that's a little bit on the thick side, but that hearty soup On a cold day like today, oh boy.
Color. I personally want just a little.
Too bad you can't.
First thing, garlic powder.
Garlic powder.
What are we gonna do?
Start at one side and go across to the other.
Taste the seasonings.
Basil.
And if you like, gonna go ahead and add some paprika in there.
Paprika. Brown paprika.
It's also gonna give us some color.
Well, there's your color. Look at that. It's beautiful. Beautiful. So the second toasting was what did the trick. So are there any prosciutto fans out there? We got some prosciutto.
And we have our soft boil.
Look at that. So those are little bubbles coming up.
Those are bubbles, that's what you're getting at. You stir it so it doesn't stick to the bottom. And this is ready to be served.
And look at that, beautiful. And dinner is served. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.